Doesn't help if I make faces back.
No more chatting unless it's for the podcast.
The writing dungeon.
Button has been pushed.
Hi friends, we're the Reading Queens, and we're here to blab about our favorite books, why we love them, and the book boyfriends we wish were real. And we're so happy you're here with us for another episode. I feel like I just say the same thing every single time, but that's what I got. We're rolling with it. So I'm Valia. Hi. Ladies, say hello.
Hi. We're supposed to say our names. I'm Hanna.
I'm Kay.
I'm Tess.
Keep you guys in line here.
We're just all over the place today.
It's one of those days. It's fine, but we're here. So we're going to talk books. We're going to talk other things, and let's do it. As you can tell, we're doing great. We're having a fun day, but how's everybody?
Well, fantastic, of course. That's the question that like brings silence. Like, how are you?
Yes, every single time.
It's like you ask kids how their day was when they get home from school, and they're like, fine. I need to think about it.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Really?
I'm running out of tea.
Oh no, that's a crime.
It is. I can buy like kind of good tea in my town, but I'm a big tea addict, and most of my tea I either buy from Books and Leaf, which is like a bookish tea company, but they're on hiatus, or from a tea company like in my neighboring town, like where my parents are, but I usually visit them, and I haven't for a while, so I'm like, I need some tea, and my oldest daughter has suddenly been like, I want to take tea in a thermos to school, because my children are like me, and they're like,
Aww.
yes. They're like little, they just like to sit at school at their desk and have their tea
so
and have their book. It is really funny. But she reached for my favorite tea, and I only have a little bit left.
That is so cute.
Like, should I be the nice parent and let her drink some of my favorite tea? Because she's like, this one's so good. And I was like, why don't you try this one? This one today is delicious. And she's like, yeah, I guess it's pretty good. Like, that's the one you get today. I'm good at sharing when I have a lot, but I think I need to restock on some teas. Especially my morning teas. I need like black teas, but fun.
Yeah, I get cranky if I run out of my teas. But luckily, I discovered a tea shop because I recently moved. Not recently. It was quite many months ago now, I guess. But it still feels new. But down the street, there's a tea shop, and I got to explore it way back when during Christmas. And I bought a bunch of teas for both my husband and myself because I'm naughty, and I bought myself some tea. But yeah, so it's really cool to have a tea shop close by that has really nice loose-leaf teas because I'm kind of a tea snob like Hanna. Nice. I really need my fun teas and not just like the ones that are in like bags. But I also recently got into like this other tea brand that's Magic Hour or something, and they have really fancy teas, and they're all kind of like mystical and magical, and I'm already out of my matcha.
Oh, and they come in your pretty jars, don't they? Are those the ones you showed us? Like,
yeah, they have really
jars?
pretty. They come in these really pretty, like they're violet apothecary jars, but they look black. But it helps like keep the tea fresh or whatever. But I got a matcha from them, and it's almost gone, and I'm like, I have to order again,
And then you're like, I have to order enough to make it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm just going to get a few more.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like time to bulk up again.
Hannah's a little enabler over here.
Yeah.
Oh, I so am. I always enable my friends because I want them to chip in with shipping.
Nice.
That works.
So I'm like, I'm doing an order
smart,
of tea.
smart.
Do you want any? And then it'll be half the shipping. And they're like,
It's so funny. It's so funny how even if you're the one who ordered the package for yourself, it's still like a little present.
It is.
Yes.
Yes.
Right?
It doesn't matter what it is. If it comes in the mail, I get really excited.
My presents are here.
It's even better if you kind of forgot.
Yes.
And then you're like, oh,
So like, I didn't order anything from Amazon.
I do that.
What is this? Like, oh yeah, that's right, I did.
Oh, I did. I always did. Oh, I order stuff, fabric sometimes it's a pre-order, and it comes like 3 months later, because for fabric they actually like make the fabric and print it and then ship it. So then when it comes in the mail, I'm like, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
it's so beautiful.
It really is.
Yeah.
months
It
later
is.
then.
I like forgot the pain of spending the money is so far behind me that it's just the best feeling.
There you go. I need to find some teas because I've just been drinking like regular green tea and stuff, and I used to get like the little loose leaf ones, and I just haven't found like a good place that sells stuff I like. So I need to do some research and see if I can be cool like you guys.
At least get some samples shipped or something. Like some of
That's
the
true.
places have like the like mini bags. I really wanted to try Hannah's brand, the Books and Leaf, but I think I saw that they were like in Canada, and I think I got scared that the shipping would be expensive. So I was like, maybe not. I'm scared.
Yes.
I can't remember her shipping is like, but I think it's a
Oh,
flat
okay.
rate. So it's again like you just get a
Yeah,
lot.
that's a good idea.
And then it's fine. She does like, I always try not to get swayed because they're bookish teas, and you're like, just because I like this book doesn't mean I will like the tea that she like paired with it. But they have been a lot of really
That's
good
how I feel
ones.
about bookish candles. I feel like every single bookish candle that I've gotten for a book I liked, I did not like the candle.
Oh,
and
no.
so now I'm
Oh,
like,
no.
I don't think I want to be cool and order like candles anymore.
And I'm boring for candles. I just order like, I just like beeswax tea lights.
Okay, yeah.
And everything. And I'm always looking at it and I'm like, I could get candles. But yeah, and again, I'm like, buying candles online. Like, what do
Yeah.
they smell like?
Oh,
I don't
true.
know.
They give me migraines too.
They
when I
do
put
for me
candles,
too if it's
so.
like a funny smell.
Yeah, see, I got, I don't remember if I actually mentioned this on here, but like last Christmas, or before Christmas, I went to visit my friend in Michigan, and she has this mall that has like a Bath and Body Works in it, but it's in like a shadier part of town, so she never goes there. So when I was there, she's like, you can come and protect me, and I'm like, cool, let's go. I'm here for
Yes.
this.
Valia the Protector.
Yeah, this is what I do. So anyway, so we went and they had a candle sale, right? And I'm very specific about my candle smells. And there is this one candle that I found at Kirkland's right before it closed, next to my house, that I loved. And it was my candle that I burn when I write. And so I was like, it's like a smell that I need now because it became like part of the routine. Yes, thank you. And so now I'm like, oh no, like what if I will never able to like write again because I can't find this smell anywhere. Anyway, so we went to this Bath and Body Works and there was a candle, and it's called like the champagne or something. I was going to say Champagne Problems because of Taylor Swift, but I don't actually remember if it's called Champagne Problems. Champagne Toast, that's what it's called. And it's like the same smell as the Kirkland candle. And so, oh my gosh, I got so excited. So I bought one, even though I like had no room in my backpack because I never travel with like anything but a carry-on.
You should have bought like
I
6
should
of
have.
them.
And so when I got home, I was like burning it. Well, my friend sent me 2 for Christmas. So now I have few.
Aw.
So I'm like excited. So I don't need to buy any special candles. But yeah, anyway, that was like a whole tangent that we just went on.
That's cool though. That's a special thing if you have it, if you associate that with that activity.
Yeah,
you know?
that's super cool. I love that.
Yeah, it's like such a nice smell, and I don't know, it used to just be like a cupcake, but like a very, very subtle cupcake smell that was like just basically vanilla, but like a little bit sweeter. And that one worked for me. But since the Kirkland thing, I just been in love with this. I can't even describe it. It's just such a good smell. So everybody go to Bath and Body Works and see if they have it, that you can smell it, and then you can understand what I'm talking about. In silence.
We are
Quiet.
out there.
I'm waiting to talk about like my thing until we're ready to transition. So
I don't know.
I'm, like,
Kay needs to say
holding
something
out.
else.
What have you been up to,
plenty.
Kay? Have you done anything exciting?
My life is boring. I never have anything to talk about. It's the same as usual.
I mean, that can be good
it's
too.
great.
We talked about running out of tea. I don't know like how much excitement is necessary.
Our listeners are like, okay. Talk about some books now, please.
If you think that tea is also important, feel free to leave a comment on
Yeah.
our Instagram post and validate us.
Oh, give us like recommendations for your tea companies or like your favorite teas, because I always like that.
Yes, especially black teas that are nutty. If anyone has a good nutty black tea, they're not gonna get super specific. I'm always on the lookout for one, and I'm running
And
out.
I like Pu'er blends, so if you have a really good Pu'er blend,
you?
yeah, plain Pu'er is really good, but
I can't get
love
into
it
them.
because I'm really sensitive to black tea. But Pu'er like treats me totally different, and I found out why when I talked to my handy dandy local tea lady. She told me that the fermentation process makes our bodies process it differently. Whatever it is, it works because I can drink like 1 cup of black tea and feel really shaky and just kind of get like lightheaded. I'm similar with like, and I thought it was like caffeine, which maybe it is because I can get similar with coffee. But with Pu'er, I can drink Pu'er all day, even if it's like a black tea Pu'er blend. I can drink it like literally all day and not feel weird. So I don't know. I just assume that there's magic in it and that maybe Pu'er is harvested near like a fairy portal.
It's made by fairies.
Exactly. So that's my.
You should also try kukicha tea.
Okay, I've never tried that.
Kukicha is made out of the toasted twigs of the tea plant.
Okay.
But not the leaves, so it has no caffeine. But it tastes really good. See, you tried to get us off tea and we got back on.
Okay.
Sorry. There we go.
No more tea.
It's like plants. It's not safe. Okay. Should we talk about our books
No,
now?
I have to talk about something else that's really important to me, you guys. It's really important. It's kind of book related, but yeah, it's really, really important. So, remember last week I talked about how I got like really obsessed with A Discovery of Witches, the show. And I started reading the book. I'm still reading the book. It's good. I like it. A lot of people are like, don't really like it, but it's working for me, surprisingly. So, but the show, I loved the first season, and then I was so excited. I'm like, I'm gonna start the second season. This is so great. And I watched 1 episode, and it was so boring.
Oh no!
So, and then I watched the second episode, and the whole time I was looking at my phone and just waiting for it to be over. I feel so bad because I really, I don't know why I feel bad. It's not like the show is having its feelings hurt.
You feel bad to the show?
Yeah, I feel bad like I'm hurting the show's feelings because I gave it 2 episodes, and I was like, you are so boring. It was just like all the...
Did the romance slow
like,
down?
The
or
couples
like
together, and there wasn't anything romantic between them. There was nothing swoony. Like, there weren't any, like, passionate scenes. Like, I don't mind watching a show where a couple has already gotten together, but they're, like... And, yeah, I understand that, like, couples have to, like, break up in order to make the show, like, really steamy. Or...
Do they, though?
Yeah, and I, like, did not...
I have so many feelings about this, but I know sometimes they get together and it's so boring.
And then there's just...
And you're
I'm
just like...
just make me swoon a little bit. Like, give them a little bit of, like, some, like, lingering glances in public because, they're transported in time. I don't know. I was just like, I did not swoon. I was waiting to swoon because I was swooning hard the whole first season. The second one, I was like, no. I did not sign up for this. So
you're not the only one because I told you I saw a bunch of comments of people are like, season 2 is so boring. What else can we watch?
I'm not the only one. See, now I don't have to feel bad that I'm like breaking up with a show. But I did get back together with another show that Valia is going to be very happy about. The Originals. I'm back on that train. And I really love it. I'm so excited. I'm so glad that I because like the first few episodes are really good. I really like them. And then for some reason, Discovery of Witches was a shiny object. But then when I got back into the Originals, like it was even better because obviously like as the show progresses, it gets more like intricate. But yeah, it's really good. I text Valia while I'm watching it so that I can tell her like play by plays. I'm like, oh my gosh, Elijah is so cool. I love him. And like, oh my gosh, I just saw a lingering glance between Haley and Elijah.
I get so excited because I'm like, yes, finally somebody understands.
Yeah.
Because everybody always rants about the Vampire Diaries. And like we know, I have very specific feelings about it. And I'm like, I need more people to love the Originals because it's just, I love like the family dynamic. I love like the antagonists. I like the way they are written, like that. Yeah, you hate these people, but you also kind of cheer for them. And it's like the only time I've ever been like, yes, villains are the best.
Yeah.
Because it's so good.
I feel the same way. Like okay. So Klaus, if y'all watch the show. Klaus is so annoying. And I remember I like loved him in the Vampire Diaries. I like, he was like the bad boy who was like, oh, but he's got a soft heart. Why doesn't Caroline love him? But then like in the originals, I'm like, gosh, Klaus, you're so annoying. Like you are such a narcissist. And I'm like, okay, I need more Elijah screen time, who I didn't care about in the Vampire Diaries. So it's
he's my favorite.
totally flopped in this show. Like my opinions are like totally flopped. And then like I love Haley, who I also did not like in the Vampire Diaries. She was annoying. But in this, I love her. She's so sweet. She's so cute. And she got a baby in her belly. So I've got that like mama respect going on. But yeah, I'm loving it. It's I don't watch a lot of shows or read a lot of books where like, I don't know, like they're anti-heroes, but they do also have like soft sides, except for Klaus is such a jerk. He's so annoying.
Yeah, but it's yeah.
I interrupted you.
No, sorry. That was thunder. Like, it's actually raining and thundering in Arizona. What is happening? The world is ending.
It's because we talked about vampires.
It descended on us. No, I love the originals. Like, you just see them not just in like the present, but you get like the glimpses of back in time, and you see how like their family developed and how their relationship developed across time. And I really love that. And I love how every character like really grows. Like there's not one character that stays the same. Like Haley, yeah, she's like sweet and nice now, but like she's a kick butt heroine like that I love so much. Like she really just takes off and becomes like this amazing power woman. And just anyway, I can just gush about this for hours, so maybe we should talk about some books now.
Well, the cool thing about the originals that we should probably mention is like, yeah, Valia mentioned the family dynamic, and especially with the inclusion of Haley being introduced into this like world of vampires, this family of vampires who aren't like blood related to her. It is a certain trope that we are all very excited about. Does anyone else want to say what it is, or do I get to spoil it?
Go for it.
You seem very excited for this.
Found family.
Yay. Which some of you might have guessed, because we picked a very, like, I don't know, in-your-face books when it comes to Found Family, because they were, like, very popular in the last, 2 year or whatever. But yes, for those of you who are new, this is what we do. We pick a book 1 week for a trope that we do not announce, and then the next week, we talk about it and announce the trope. And so that's what we're going to do. So Tess, since she's very excited, she's going to start us off with her book and talk about it. Go for it.
Yeah, so I read Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, and in short, Six of Crows is a heist story. It's about a gang led by this main character named Kaz, and he kind of already has like a couple members in his crew, and they all have different specialties. But then they're hired by this guy who needs them to pull off a heist and basically like go steal someone from a high security prison in a different country. I think it's a different country technically, or is it another city? I don't know. I didn't know a ton about the like landscape of that world.
I feel like it's a different country.
I think so too, right? It's not just like a city.
It's like neighboring.
So,
yeah. So anyways, it's like this impossible, crazy mission. So Kaz got to get some people together to pull off this heist. And he doesn't just ally with people who are like his BFFs. They break some guy out of another prison who like has no love for them because they need someone to basically help them infiltrate this other country. So they get this guy, Matthias, if I'm pronouncing his name right, who's from that country, but he like, can't even, honestly, I already forgot like what they used to entice him, maybe just freedom from the prison. But he hates this other woman they've allied with, which her name is Nina, and she's one of the like magical characters, one of the Grishas. Because they have a history, and you get to learn a little more about them.
I love their history because it's super
that
messy.
was probably one of my favorite parts, but I have to have like some kind of romance in there. And you don't, it takes a while to see it. You can tell there's some tension between them, but I loved that because there's like this like enemies thing going on, but then you learn about like what their history was.
They're like enemies to lovers to enemies to lovers.
Yeah, exactly. So that part was pretty fun, but throughout it, these like this group of people who were, they weren't to begin with like best friends or anything. They become really tight knit type family. Like they get to know each other. One of the like people who they recruit is the guy who hires them's son, and it's really cool. I thought it was pretty interesting to see these very different characters become friends, especially Nina and Matthias. I loved that because they came from such different backgrounds, and then just watching how.
So were you shipping them more, or Kaz
I was
and
shipping
Inej?
them more. I liked Kaz and Inej too, and I liked them through the second book as well. But yeah, I also just wasn't as excited just because Kaz just needs a lot of help.
He seems like a lot of work, right?
Yeah. So I was like, girl, you are really strong and independent. I know you love him, so go for it. But this is gonna take a lot of work for you. But yeah, that's I think heist stories are pretty popular with found family, and this was, I think, my first heist story that I read. So it was really interesting to see. But yeah. That's all I gotta say about that.
That's cool. That's funny you felt that way about Kaz, because I also felt that way. He was not my favorite character, which I felt really left out when I felt that way, because everyone who talks about Six of Crows, not everyone, obviously, it feels like everyone loves Kaz. And I'm like, he was fine.
I love Kaz.
I don't know.
Hannah.
And I'm the one who's
There you go.
I know. I'm the one who doesn't like anti-heroes or morally great characters usually, but I loved Kaz. I don't know. I think just you see so much of his pain and his backstory, and it just makes you want to like wrap him up in a blanket.
Kay's like,
so
no.
Only he'd break your face. He doesn't want that.
It made me want to be like, yeah, good luck with that. I'm out of here. But he is a very well written character, and so many people love him. So like, if you love him, that's awesome. That's just totally my personality thing.
It might be dysfunctional,
Yeah.
but if you love him.
Oh my gosh, I love that. It's true though. That's all I always just hear people just like rave about him, which is hilarious to me because like why? I don't get it.
He does have a lot of trauma, and you can see why he's hurting, and that's something I think a lot of people can relate to. So
That's understandable.
I mean, that's not I don't think I relate to it. I hope. But.
I thought he was very interesting and intriguing, and I loved like reading his backstory and learning how he got that way. And by the end of like the duology, I do think he grows a lot. But I think in terms of like loving a character and wanting him to like so much that I want to ship him with someone, it didn't go that far.
yeah, he does still need a lot of work.
Yeah.
Although I did love Inej.
Oh, me
I don't know
too.
how to say her name.
Yeah, I love
She
her.
was so great, and she was probably my favorite, I think.
Yeah.
So then at least you can be like, well, we want her to be
Yeah,
happy. That's what
exactly.
she
Yeah.
wants.
Support her decisions.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're fictional. I choose to believe that they will make this work and be happy.
Anything
Get
can
some
happen in a
counseling.
book.
Yeah.
There you go.
Exactly.
That's funny. Well, Kay, do you want to talk about what you read?
Yes, so I read, well, we'll just say the Renegades Trilogy. I still have not finished the trilogy, but I had already read the first book a year ago, so I was mostly reading the second book. So good. I love it. It's, if for anyone who doesn't know, it's a superhero story. And I am not really a superhero person. Like, they're fine. You know, I've seen a few Marvel movies, and I liked them and all, but, you know what I mean? It's just not, like, my
It's
favorite
not your
genre.
thing, yeah.
Yeah, I still like them, but it's just not my favorite. So I really waited to read this series, because I'm like, I don't know.
Because you love this author,
Yes, I
right?
do.
Because the Lunar Chronicles are your
Yes,
faves.
and that was part of it. That was just like, I love Marissa Meyer so much. I don't want to read this series that I don't like because it's the wrong genre, and then have like a bad taste in my mouth for Marissa Meyer, right?
Right.
But I love it. It's so good, and I really still, even reading it, I'm like, yeah, the superhero genre is not my favorite, but I just love it still. It's just so good. So that's fun. She just, the characters are so unique and interesting, and I think one of the really fun things about found family, one of the things that really just makes that trope work, is you have these wildly different characters, you know, and they're put together and they have to work together. And it's not like this in the Renegades trilogy, but a lot of times they're like forced to work together, right? They're people who maybe never would have worked together under any other circumstances. And it doesn't have to be like that. And again, in the Renegades trilogy, it's not like that. They're this superhero team. So they do kind of choose to work together. But you still have these wildly different characters. They have a really fun dynamic. It's just so fun to see them interact with each other because they all have different personalities. And yeah, it's really fun. I just wanted to say, before I say that, I really love the side romances. I don't know why. I'm always like, this always happens to me in lots of books. The main romance, of course, I'm usually always invested in that as well. But for some reason, I always get really invested in these side romances that get barely any page time. You know what I mean?
Like, give me more.
It's like little glimmers.
Yeah, it's like barely these little mentions. And then when they get together, I'm always so happy. And so it's funny. There's a little side romance in this Renegades trilogy, which is really fun. And I also love the main romance, don't get me wrong, but that side one is really fun, and that's something that also often happens within a found family. You'll have more than one romance. Okay.
And these are ones I keep looking at because I like the Lunar Chronicles not as much as you do. I don't know if any of us can take that title from you, but I do really enjoy them. But I keep looking, and like the covers just aren't quite my thing, and then superheroes, like I love Marvel movies, but superhero books aren't really my thing, but I know I will like them when I start to read them. I just haven't gotten myself to read them yet.
Well, I do recommend them. I thought it was good.
You're like romance and side romance.
Exactly.
I mean, like, that's a good
what more do you need?
indicator
so,
there.
The funnest thing about it is the main character, the girl main character, it's multiple points of view. So, it's mostly just the two, though. You get Nova and Adrian. So the girl point of view and then the guy point of view. So Nova, she is on the villain side. And then Adrian is on the, like, good guy side, all right? Like, the good superheroes. And Nova has to, like, secretly get in and start working with the superheroes so that she can get information from them. And so then she accidentally falls in love with,
accidentally.
Yes. She tries, she's very much resisting it. So there's a lot of tension because of that, and it's really good. I am not a fan of villain stories. I don't really like that when the character's like a bad guy or whatever. But she's not. Nova is a really good. She has reasons for not liking the superheroes. She has reasons for fighting what she is fighting for. And so there's just a lot of tension because they're both trying to do the right thing, but they're just on two different sides of the conflict. So it is very interesting.
Hey, if you give me good reasons, so that's different than like just loving a villain because he's hot,
Yeah.
Yeah. The fact that this has my daughter's name makes me want to read it. I had no idea. Like, the whole time you're talking, I'm like, I don't know if you do that where, like, you get used to a name that's not super common, and then every time you hear it, you just get, like, kind of these weird, like, shivers. Like, you're talking about my daughter.
That's true.
That makes
she's
me
a
want to
villain.
read it. Oh, I know. As soon as I heard them, I'm like,
but she's got good
Nova's a
features.
villain?
She's not a villain, though. Anyway, I love the found family trope, though, because I feel like it really appeals to anyone. For someone who has a really strong family or really strong friend group, they can feel those dynamics as they're reading about the found family, and they can feel like, yeah, that's just like my family. But also, which is amazing, even for people who don't have really strong families or who don't have really strong friend groups, they can feel that same thing where even if they don't necessarily have that, they feel like this is what I want. And it's really powerful to them either way. And I think that's amazing because I feel like most people have gone through times where they feel lonely or they don't feel like they have the group of support people that they need in their life. And that's the thing about found family, is feeling like you can find that support no matter what. So anyway.
I love that.
That just got so deep and beautiful.
I know.
I was like, mine's about a heist. It was fun.
I do think that, like, even with us, like the queens, I feel like we're a found family for sure, because we've we've taken our, like, yes, we help each other with writing and, you know, our like mastermind times and whatever, but like we're still there for each other, like through everything, like, you know, and that's just like that sense of community, especially after what happened with 2020. I feel like people are really just like realizing like that's where the strength lies, like with having those communities, those like found families in your lives, to just like be there for you even if you're not in the same place, you know, and stuff like that. So anyway, just getting sappy over here.
This is going to be our sappiest episode yet.
There you go. But Hannah, do you want to talk about your book before we
Speaking of sappy books, I'm going to talk about Red Rising.
Wait, is that a sappy book or like a death book?
So sappy. Oh wait, it's all death all the time. If you cry, it's because they killed a character you like. Okay, so Red Rising. Have you guys all read Red Rising?
I read the first one, yes.
You
only the first book. I know, and
how did you stop?
And it's hilarious to me too. Sorry, side note, taking your spotlight here for a second. But like I've met Pierce a few times, and like I love like hearing him talk about the world that he created and the way he writes, and just like I just get really excited to just like get back into the book. But then every time I go to pick it up, like something prevents me from reading it. So now I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, I need to like just reread the first book and then just go through like both trilogies and just all together, because
But is the final book out yet?
Actually, I don't think it is.
Book 6? I don't think book 6 is out yet. I've been waiting. That's what I keep saying. I also just don't know if my heart can take
waiting.
book 7 right now. Or book, what is it? But I've been watching Star Wars too. I'm like, episode what? No, book 5. Book 5 is the one that's out. Oh my goodness. Okay, Red Rising is science fiction. I always call it epic sci-fi because it has a lot of like epic fantasy vibes, and I've had like some people even call it like space fantasy, and it is not space fantasy because there is no magic and everything is explainable. I get very annoyed when people put the wrong genre tags on books. I'm like, nothing fantasy, like Star Wars you can call space fantasy. Anyway, this isn't. It's there's a class system in the solar system. So the solar system has all been populated. That's not the word. Colonized. And there's like the golds who are in charge, and then there's silvers who are like, I don't know, middle class, and then there's the bronzes. The bronzes, aren't they? I'm just looking at this up. I'm like, they're not like coppers or something. Pretty sure it's bronze. Who are like have all the crappy jobs, and they've actually all been genetically altered so that the golds aren't just on top because of the hierarchy of things. They're actually superior. They're like taller, stronger, more beautiful, and they have all the money. So it's very difficult to have any rebellion, which is what this book is all about. So Darrow is born, it's a red. Is it a red?
I think it's red. That's what I was like,
wait. They're reds. You're like, what are you talking about? I'm sorry, guys. It's been a year.
It's been longer for me. That's why I'm like, I'm not going to correct her because maybe I'm wrong.
You're like, maybe I'm wrong. No, they're reds. I'm sorry. I apologize to everybody. So Darrow's a red. So he's like this scrawny miner. Who actually doesn't know that there's like anything else going on because they've been kept under such tight wraps. They just live underground, and they think that they're still like making Mars habitable for people. They're like, yay, we're doing good work, but it's been generations and people live on Mars. And so he breaks out and through a series of sad events. If you try reading this book, by the way, guys, the first like 4 chapters are rough. They are rough and hard to read. And if you're someone who understands plot, you know bad things are coming, and it makes it very difficult to get through. But it's only like 4 chapters. You push through. Then everything gets better after the horrible inciting incident that you know is going to come. So he gets taken by the rebellion, and they turn him into a gold. So they like genetically alter him and stretch his bones and do a bunch of like random stuff and make him a gold and send him to like super bad gold school where they learn to be warriors and kill everyone and rule the universe, so he can infiltrate up to the highest ranks for the rebellion so that they can have a gold like on their side. So then it's like a long thing, but you have to understand how it's found family. So then their school is like, it's like medieval Hunger Games. They like throw all these students, these teenagers, and they each get a castle, like each group, and then they just battle each other. It doesn't have to be to the death, but they choose to battle to the death many times. Why not? And so part of the found family then is that a few of the people that are on his team, they really bond together because they're basically like have to be a team and fight for their lives against everybody else. Especially one of them who's like a psychopath on the other team. It's like killing people and using their teeth for necklaces or something. I can't remember. It's terrible. And I know. Everyone's like, Hanna, what books are you reading now?
Yeah, so unlike you.
Oh, I know. I keep telling you, I read widely. So there's all of that. So some of those, and especially Severo is everyone's favorite, and he's like this scrawny as a gold can be, who like runs around dressed in a wolf skin. And he like doesn't shower, and I don't remember what all it was, but they were like, there was like tease him like, you smell like you like have been wearing just like a wolf skin on you and haven't changed or showered or bathed, or did you like roll in your own pee or something? He's like, yes, obviously. How else am I gonna win this? Like so there's him, and then as it goes on, there's more people who join the rebellion. So over like these 3 books of the first one, they really like bond, and it makes it heart-wrenching because there are betrayals, and there are people who you are so sure are on their side, and maybe they are, but they're like for reasons they betray them, and there's people who die, and you're like, no, they're like a brother to this guy, so it just like kills you. And then at the beginning of the second trilogy, though, there's this scene, and I can't tell you who's in it because I can't tell you who those guys are in it, but it's like 10, 15 years later. And they're all just hanging out, having a family dinner, and they're like, some of them are pregnant, and there's kids around, and they're just like remembering the like good old days.
When they were killing everybody?
And dying.
Dying. But it's like war stories, right? But it's just so like, it paints that like beautiful picture that they've like gone through all these things, and they have each other, and they're strong, and like, it's, I don't know, it's beautiful. But and then things go wrong again.
Obviously.
But there's something to me about like a family dinner.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. And I think like that's part of like a found family thing to me is like when they can all get together and like we're having family dinner, it's Sunday night or whatever, and they all can just like see the kids run around and chat. And I feel like that to me is like a big like family thing. So that picture of it always stuck with me as like, this like beautiful family.
Yeah, because most of these books are like rebellions and battles and magical whatever, and then it's like such a normal thing, to just like sit down and eat together. Like, I don't know, it's cool. It's a good
happens
picture.
In every culture, everywhere in the world.
Yeah,
very relatable for anybody. But that's cool. I should probably finish that.
Most of us don't do it like on our castle on the moon, but you know.
I mean, I guess.
I know. I have to say I was very thrown by you saying the solar system is all colonized. They're on every planet. I mean,
I think so. Well, some of them are on the moons.
Okay.
Like they're on the moons of Jupiter and things like that. It is all very like the science.
Should like some of those planets cannot be on.
Exactly. I'm like, that's all gas. You can't like Jupiter's a gaseous planet. You can't be like on it, right?
They're on the moon. Everything that could be, and then I don't remember it all, but they are like, and there's all this conflict between like the outer planets and the inner planets, because inner planets have all the power.
Oh,
and
inside
outer planets
the
are like,
asteroid belt.
Yeah,
and
and so
outside
like
of it.
the outer planets have a rebellion then in the second series.
Okay, how have you not read this?
It's fun.
This is
I
such
don't
a
know.
sci-fi book for you. Like, that's like all of your sci-fi loving heart.
They're so good.
Well,
You
I don't
have to
know,
like
too many
brace
people
yourself.
die.
Yeah, it
Oh,
sounds a
that's
little
true.
dark though.
They're dark, but they're also I
They
don't
make
know.
up for
it's
it.
like based
It's
on
like-
and it's based on like an idea of hope.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, one of these days, I will get to it.
And there's lots of banter. There's banter and romance. I don't know what else you need to have.
Okay, maybe we should read it together, because
Yeah.
I need motivation to finish it, which is so weird, because like I said, I really liked it. I really liked the first one.
I have books I love that I haven't read.
Yeah. Pause while Hannah just fixes the situation.
I had an alarm on my phone. I turned my phone off, and it was like, except for alarms.
That's funny. Well, I guess we should talk about what I read, or in this case, didn't read, because
You
I
attempted
attempted to read, but my book was The Gilded Wolves by Roshani. Also, not saying her last name in this episode because I can never pronounce it correctly. But yeah, that was my pick. And it's also a heist book, because that's a really good way of doing found family, like Kay said, or Tess, one of you did. But I really liked the cover of it when it first came out, and I liked the idea of the book. It has like it's like 1889 Paris, and it's got, a diverse cast of characters and magic and stuff. And I was just having a really hard time getting through it. And we'll talk about that in a second. But I feel like we should talk about the book because I did pick it. So Kay and Hannah both have read it. So I think that they can give you their thoughts on it, so I don't feel bad in failing you and giving you my opinion. But Kay, do you want to talk about your experience reading this?
So, it does have a really dynamic cast. There are some really fun characters. One thing that was hard for me with The Gilded Wolves, I did like the book. I liked it, but I did feel like the magic system, I just didn't understand how the magic system worked, and that kind of made it difficult for me to know what was going on some of the time. So that was kind of a hard, tricky thing for me. But the found family trope is definitely strong in that book. So if you're really into found families, it's a good one for that. There are some really fun characters. I really liked Layla. She was my favorite. And I liked Hypnos. Apparently, I actually read it a while ago, and I had to go back and look at my review of it, and I had forgotten who it was. But in my review, I said that I liked him, so apparently he's a good one.
So watch for that. I know. I read it, and I remember it took me like a month to get through the first third of it, because I kept putting it down and reading other books, which for me is never a good sign. And often when that happens, I just stop reading it. I have no shame about DNFing books. I'm like, whatever, on to a better book. But like this one, it's like I liked the concept so much that I really wanted to like it. So I did push through and finish it, and I'm glad I did, but it's kind of one of those, am I going to read book 2 or not? I liked, like, some of the characters were really great. I can't remember most of their names. I liked the girl who liked to blow things up.
Sophia,
and she's, like, a little bit on the spectrum, which I enjoy reading because I enjoy, I don't know. I like to be in the head of people whose brain processes are different than mine. I think it's really interesting. But she was super fun, and I liked the Petarantula, and I liked a little bit. But I also found that I love banter, and heist books are great for banter. And some of the banter was dead on, and some of it, what I remember is that it wasn't always period appropriate banter.
Oh.
So that always pulls me out when I feel like they're saying things that modern people would say, but it's supposed to be set in the 1890s. And it can be very difficult. It's hard with fantasy sometimes, too. Like, I think you'd really have to nail down what your people are exposed to and what they would understand. And sometimes even if it's something that, like, somebody could have said, but if it's really common to say now and it's slang now, then it doesn't
feel like it's period appropriate, historically appropriate.
So it's tricky. I don't know. So I liked it, but I didn't love it. It was like a 3-star read for me, and compared to like other heist books I've read, like I love Six of Crows, and I felt like a lot of their stuff was done like just really clearly. And I love some of Roshani's other books. Like I read the Star-Crossed Queen, I think, is that what it's called?
I think so.
And it's beautiful, and it is just like dreamy and evocative, and this felt like a completely different genre and maybe one that wasn't quite her strength.
Yeah.
But I know lots of people super love it. So if you love those tropes, like I would definitely give it a try. And I would know that it does start a bit slow, but it does pick up. So sometimes it's worth knowing that, so you know, like you can push past a little bit. I am so sorry. Valia's gonna kick me off.
There's just no way for me to edit.
face.
Yeah, I'm like, there's just no way for me to edit that out. So it's just like staying in.
I'm so sorry.
So
I'm gonna like take it off my Mondays.
I did think it was interesting. This is like such a random side note about this book. So Owl Crate is like a book box that they give out books in a box. If you don't know what it is, I don't know how to explain it.
with
fun items,
things that go with the
anyway,
theme.
they always do an exclusive book cover, and for the exclusive book cover for that book, they changed all of the gold filigree stuff on the front to silver. And I thought it was so funny because gilded by definition means gold.
Oh.
You can't
It's called the
just
silvered wolves.
you can't just change it to silver. It's the gilded wolves. Anyway, it's like such a random thing that I just thought was funny.
well, it's funny because that's the edition that I have because I got it in the box.
Oh.
And I didn't know that gilded mean gold. And I liked the silver because I thought it looked better with the green.
You ruined it for her.
So I was
Sorry,
like, this
I'm sorry.
is cool. Well,
The
anyway.
silver is very pretty. It's a very pretty edition.
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
thought it was
And
pretty.
I love the cover, but I also have to say I owned that book for a while before I read it because I feel like the cover didn't tell me anything about the book.
That makes sense. Yeah.
That is true.
I was just like, this is pretty. Like sometimes those like really pretty typography covers, it's just like a bunch of foliage. And I was like, you're so lovely. I'm going to put you on my shelf. I'm going to take
And
pictures.
just gonna leave it there.
It definitely doesn't look like a heist book. Like, I had no
Right.
idea that was a heist book. Like,
No.
if I was going from Six of Crows being like, where's my next heist book fix, I would never read the synopsis of that one thinking that's what I was going to get. So that's interesting. An interesting choice for that.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like for me, I didn't know it was a heist book either until I asked somebody because I was like, wait, I feel like this, like Wednesday Books put out a heist book. Like, where is it? And so I asked my friend who works there, and he was like, oh yeah, Gilded Wolves. And I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah, I feel like maybe I've been in a really bad like reading space, headspace, whatever, and had just like brain fog reading it. Like it took me a few tries to get through like the first chapter, and I think part of it was because I was just really confused. Like in the very beginning, they're like a floating chandelier of like champagne flutes, and at first, like when I first read it, I thought he was like doing magic in front of everybody but like sneaking at the same time. I don't know. It was just like really confusing for me to read it, and I didn't understand it. So I kept like walking away from it, and it took me a really long time to get through the first like 2 chapters. And it's weird because it's like a prologue, and then it's from the guy points of view, and then it's from the girl points of view, and both of them I was just kind of like, what? So I felt really bad because I couldn't get through this book, but I think it's a good example of like, yeah, a lot of people really love this book and had like really good experience with it, but sometimes you're just not in the right headspace for a book. And like, how do you deal with that? I just put it down and walk away and then feel
I
guilty
think
about
that's
it.
a good way to deal with it.
Yeah, I guess.
You don't have to read every book, you know?
Right.
And some books aren't the right book for that moment. Like sometimes I'm trying to read a book and I'm like, this is just, I'm not awake enough. I just need a rom-com.
Right, yeah.
And I like switch over or something I've already read so that if I'm not fully following, I can still like enjoy the book because I know what happened already.
Like fluffy romance.
It's a good time for a reread.
Like it's a...
Yeah, you need to pull out your hockey
Yes.
your hockey romances again. That'll get you going.
Me and my hockey romance. One of these days we'll just have like a sports trope or something that we talk about so that I can actually like talk about my favorite hockey romances.
And I'll be so quiet over here.
But yeah, but it's interesting to me. I feel like even just doing this podcast, I really feel not better about my reading habits, but maybe a little bit, because it's just, I've never been in a book club before or anything like that. So the only conversations I've had about books are like with people, you know, like maybe one-on-one or whatever. But when you're like in a group setting, you really see the different ways people read and the different like experiences they have with the same books, you know? And so it just like makes me feel better. I'm like, I'm okay to DNF stuff now, and I'm okay to do this and whatever. It's like validating. Because I'm like, okay, cool.
Hannah's alarms.
I can't.
I swear I keep hitting the like thing about apparently I've hit snooze and I've now powered it off. And my phone is
It's
off.
fine. You weren't talking that time, so
anymore.
it's fine. It's just when you're talking that I'm like,
I know. I'm so sorry.
Right.
I think we're usually done by 1. Because that's when my alarm was.
That's what it is. Yeah, we're a little bit late.
It's okay. I'll turn it off on Mondays from now. I just had to come up before.
Well, who wants to segue into recommendations? Since we took a little tumble there into nothingness.
Yum, 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 yum. I mean, Hannah's the most excited about the one she's sharing.
Do you want to segue us into the recommendations?
I will segue. Okay. Just give me a second.
What was the last thing we were talking about to like make it? I mean, do we need to make it natural?
Brain fog and do DNF.
Maybe we should say what
and...
DNF means. Do people know that?
I think we talked about it
before. Yeah.
Did
yeah,
we? Well, I know last week
TBR.
we did TBR last week. I don't think we did DNF.
Because I know Hannah said that she.
Oh, we have a list.
Will like DNF. Like, I think we talked about it very briefly. I don't remember if we. Yeah, we had Hannah said that like she will DNF whatever, and then like I think there were a couple of us.
Oh,
said,
you're
like,
right. When we were talking about the list.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember.
I mean, yeah.
I know. I should always say every time, be like, what
That's
it is,
true.
but
luckily, I feel like a lot of bookish people will know. I mean, it took me a while to know what all these things meant, but
if they have questions, they can ask us.
reach out if you don't know what DNF means. Oh, okay. How do we segue into this?
You know what? I'll segue. Okay.
Okay. I'm not segueing while my brain is not working now.
So we have some books that we wanted to recommend to you, and I think Hannah should go first because she just finished this book and she's very excited because it has the found family trope, and she just can't wait to talk about it. So we're going to have Hannah go and talk about it.
I feel like I'm always talking about books that I read like a year ago. And I'm like, finished this one this morning. So I remember what's going on. And it is, now I'm like, what is the title? You never remember what the series title is, right? It's a trilogy. So it's The Court of Midnight and Deception by Kay and Shay. And it is a urban fantasy, but she mostly writes like cute, fluffy, fairy tale retellings, but she's just started getting into urban fantasy, but they're like cute and fluffy urban fantasy. So they're cute, they've got banter, they got lots of pop culture references, they have everything I like, and so she's got 2 trilogies, and this one is her Fae one. She's jumping on the Fae bandwagon like everyone, because Fae is so cool. And it's this girl, she's half Fae, and she gets chosen by these creepy black nightmare horses to be the next queen of the night court. And she's like, how can this be? I'm not even full Fae. And they're like, horses said, you have to come. So she has to kind of take over this court, and it's all full of, it's like literally crumbling apart. They're hugely in debt. Everyone's infighting. And then also all the Fae courts are like fighting with each other. And she's just like, this is stupid, and we're not doing this anymore. So it's all about her trying to, like, make her court be happy and healthy and get along. And she's also trying to convert them to drinking coffee, because all they drink is tea, which she thinks is terrible. And she's got all, like, these animals, and it's really cute and funny, but also gives you feels. It takes the whole book, the whole trilogy to kind of get through it, which I think for found family is nice sometimes, like, to show, like, that long progression from a bunch of people who hate each other into people who really are found family, because then you get that like, oh, I can't believe that they're like besties now and they used to be awful. So by the end of it, yeah, it's like I guess it's a spoiler, but but it's found family, and it's like all the different people of the court. There's lots of different funny characters, and she has a forced marriage. She has to like marry somebody to take the throne because they thought that would be fun. And it makes her really grumpy. So because she's trying not to choose political sides, she marries the Night Court assassin because he doesn't have ties to anyone. But then, of course, he's, adorable, and they slowly fall in love.
Oh.
And it's all cute, and I love it, and
We're back
just
to the
finished
sappy.
it, and they're all happy. I know. It's adorable, and it gives you all the warm, fuzzy feelings. So if you're in the mood for urban fantasy, but a little lighter and with some warm fuzzies, then I really recommend it. Court of Midnight Deception. The first book is Crown of Shadows, I think.
It sounds good.
This sounds cute.
It's cute. Valia, you would like her urban fantasy stuff, I think, because you write kind of a lighter urban fantasy.
Then I'll just
well.
have to put those on my list. The never
on your never ending giant list.
Never ending. But maybe, I don't know, I feel like I need to get back. Maybe I'm just not reading the right genre right now for me to like get back into reading.
Yeah.
So at this point I'm trying anything. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kate, did you have a book too?
Yes, I do have a book. Mine is called The Dragon Princess by Lachelle Slater. The whole series, it's kind of like, with the one Hannah said, it's kind of like you need the whole series to get that found family, because you get to know more characters as each book goes on. But it's interesting because they all have really messed up family dynamics, so because of that they get this like really close friend group, so that's kind of a cool thing. And apparently it's just fun. It's also I was gonna say also fairy tale retellings, because you said KM Shay and I was thinking it was gonna be a fairy tale and then it wasn't.
It's shocking. Her other urban fantasy ones are a fairy tale, but I'm pretty sure this one isn't.
This series, The Dragon Princess, well, that's just the first book, but the series, they're all fairy tale retellings, so that's a really fun thing. I am a huge fan of fairy tale retellings, as everyone knows.
Which fairy tale is the first one?
It is Sleeping Beauty.
Okay.
That's a tricky one.
That is. I don't think I see that very often in fairy tale retellings. It's interesting. Tess, do you have a book for us?
Yes. I hope my dog doesn't start like talking because he is like growling at me because he wants some pets, and he's the most non-affectionate dog ever. He doesn't do this. He's like, "Ooh, you're on a podcast. Maybe I should make some noise for the first time ever," and like try to make editing super difficult. Anyways.
We can just see his little nose, though.
Yeah,
it's so cute.
funny. He like just chooses this moment to like try and interrupt me, and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll give you love. Anyways, I do have a book to recommend. It is the Dreamwalker Academy series by Joanna Reeder. This one, kind of like heist stories, I feel like academy stories are pretty common to find a found family trope in there as well. This one, each book is from a different like student's point of view, and so you get to see that dynamic from a few different characters' perspective, and every character is like quite different, so it's just another one of those really cool stories to see how this group of people who, they're not all related, come together and just support each other, and and they're like,
and they all have time travel
kind of
powers.
Super cool time travel abilities, and the magic system's like really unique. So yeah, that's my recommendation for the week.
That's cool. I'm gonna recommend the Wall series by Alison Angleby.
Ingleby.
I know. I'm so bad at saying anything right now, okay? Forgive me. No. But yes, one of our queens, she has a 4-book series, the Wall series, and it's a dystopian. And I feel like that's another thing when it comes to high stories and academy and then dystopian. Like those are like the 3 staples for found families, because you have a world where everybody's dead and
all their parents have been killed and only the teenagers.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know about hers. That's just what a lot of them are.
In Alison's book, the first of all, it's set in like the UK, so I think that's really cool because I don't read a lot of dystopian outside of like the US or anything, so that was really fun. But she like lives like on the outside basically, and then she realizes that she can't pass the barrier to get into London, and then she gets like recruited into this like secret, not a secret society, but kind of, and they try to like take down the government and all that stuff. But it has a lot of like, you know, a cast of characters obviously, and it is a complete series, so binge readers, you can get all over that. But I really love dystopian fiction for that aspect, because, you know, you have that survival, like you have to survive, and then you have like, you meet these people along the way where they like become your family and sometimes betray you or whatever, but still like you work in this, you live in this world where it's just everything is terrible, and you can have like this glimmer of hope when you find those people that have like become your family. So I really love that about this, the dystopian world, and the found family aspect of it. So yeah, that's a recommendation for you listeners. We always try to do that. We always try to give you more than just like the mainstream books, because there's just so many good books out there, and we want to keep recommending. And if you ever have a recommendation for us, just let us know. Like if you like love one of these tropes and you have a book that you want everybody to read, let us know, because I mean, our list is never ending, but I'm always ready to add to it.
That's so true.
Yes.
Me too. I am also always ready to add to my list.
Yes. But yeah, I loved our trope discussions. These are my favorite type of episodes, because we just really just get into it. And yeah, if you guys remember, we do have a bookshop page for your convenience. So in case you wanted to check out any of these books, they'll be linked in the list there. And we do have a website where you can learn more about us, and obviously our Instagram. But we really want to just build a community here, so you guys just don't be afraid to talk to us and reach out. We're all readers, and let's talk books. And yeah, that's where we're at. That's where we're at now. But in the next episode, Rose will be back with us while we say a brief goodbye to Hannah. She'll be back.
Goodbye.
But for now, let's see what everybody's reading this week. So Tess, what are you reading this week?
I'm probably still gonna be finishing up Discovery of Witches, even though I'm really enjoying it. It is a bit of a slower read. I'm not reading like 10 chapters a night. The chapters are super long, so after like one or two, I'm like, it's bedtime. But yep, I'm gonna keep going with that one.
That works. Kay?
I am so excited. I'm going to be reading Lore by Alexandra Bracken.
Yay.
I've just been waiting. I had to finish up some other books first, but I finally get to read it.
I'm so excited for you. Hannah, what about you?
I'm actually reading my own book right now, which is funny. I mean, I was also reading the one I just talked about, but I'm working on drafting the second novel in the series, and I need to remember what I said in the first one. And it's been 2 years because I wrote some short stuff in between, so I'm reading The Rose Gate by Hanna Sandvig. It's pretty good. I don't know.
It's got some stuff.
It's got some stuff. It is funny rereading your own stuff, though.
Yeah.
That's true. You're like, okay, cool. Yeah, so I don't know what I'll be reading this week because, like I said, I've been having a lot of trouble reading. But I have a few things on my list, and one of them is a book that Hannah mentioned last week. The first in the dystopian. Yes, thank you, by Audrey Gray. So, I'm hoping to get into that, and maybe
I finished book 1, by the way, and it was excellent, but I was reading like 4 books at once, so maybe that'll be the next one I get into.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So that might actually get me out of my reading situation, because it seems like what my brain wants right now.
Adrenaline.
Yes. Basically.
Get it moving a little bit.
But all right, well, thank you for listening to The Reading Queens. Before you go, please take a moment to leave us a review, and make sure to follow us on Instagram at Reading Queens Pod. And then stay tuned for next week. Happy reading. Bye.
Bye.